dance for joy or lust or anger, and every time you...
Welcome to Sensible Secondhand Classics, a series where we look at nostalgic cars that are over 15 years old. You can buy for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. This is a 1973 Marina 1.8 Super Deluxe estate. But is it any good? Should you care? Let's find out, shall we? So the Marina is one of the most controversial cars ever in the history of British motoring. It was developed very, very quickly, just after the formation of British Leyland in 1968. The management decreed that there was basically a huge gap in the range that was coming up because the Marina saloons that had been in production since 1959 were coming up for discontinuation, and we needed something a little bit sort of smaller and more conventional than the Land Crab. The Land Crab just hadn't really worked in terms of replacing the Marina saloon, which is why they kept in production after the introduction of the Land Crab in '64. So they decided they'd go down the ultra conventional route, and they'd make a car that was very similar to the newly introduced Escort and also the Mark II Cortina. It sort of slots in between the two of those in a way. And when the Mark III came out in 1970, you can see that this was a slightly smaller car, although the engine sizes in some ways were quite similar. At the base of the range, the Marina had a 57 horsepower 1.38 series engine. I have driven one of those. It was a 79 coupe, and actually that was okay. It wasn't that bad. I think the 60 is about 60 or 17 seconds, but you know, it wasn't too bad. The next one up, and the car was launched in 1971, was a 1.8 B series with 83 horsepower. This one has a single carb, and then at the top of the range there was a twin carb version of that with 95 horsepower, which is a very similar engine to the one used in the MGB at the time. In 1978, when the Marina was faced with for the second time, the 1.8s were replaced with an O series engine, 1.7 litres in capacity with 78 horsepower. It's unfortunate that those later Marinas, actually they're not too bad, having driven one. I think actually they look okay. They didn't get a lot of power really at all in comparison with these earlier ones. This one seems actually quite smooth. It's a little bit noisy. I think probably some of that is due to, I don't know, the seals being very old in the car or something, but not too bad. Power steering was never available, so we've got unassisted steering, and it's fine actually. It's quite light even at parking speed, which, considering that this engine is a lot heavier than the A series, this B series, is okay. One thing I must say is that there were also some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. So, to drive, it's actually a lot better than people who've never driven a Marina will tell you. The suspension's not very sophisticated. Actually, the front suspension's similar to the type used in a Morris Minor. It's got trunnions and lever-on dampers and things like that. And at the rear, we've got leaf springs. So it's not the most sophisticated car. In comparison with the Hillman Avenger, for example, which came out the year before one of these, it's really not a very sophisticated car at all. But that doesn't really matter. British Leyland sold an absolute ton of these cars. At one point, it was the second best-selling car in the country. This estate version with 58 cubic feet of load capacity was under-marketed really, but very useful kind of nevertheless. This is the latest acquisition by Alex from the Alex's Assets channel, who is from today. She has an extraordinary collection of cars, which Roger has been in as well, including a lovely 74 Allegro in blaze red with a quartic steering wheel, a Rover P4, Rover P6, and a Land Rover Series 3 Lightweight, all of which I've had on the channel before, and all of which are just tremendous fun really. What an absolute delight, viewers. The Harvest Gold Marina estate with leopard print seats. This car's not perfect by any means, but it's actually in quite good condition, really, considering it's 51 years old. I think the design of these is just a sort of classic, really. I think they did quite a good job, considering they had, I think, less than 3 years to bring the cars from initial idea to production. I think they did quite a good job, although the tailgate is very, very, very eccentric. You can see here it just lies on top. It doesn't come flush with the bodywork at all. So we've got aftermarket reversing lights and fog lamps on this, because in 73 you didn't need things like that. Original number plates from a dealership up in the northwest England, I think somewhere in the Lake District. Very stiff. Oh, boot release. Oh my gosh. Yes, when we went for a drive earlier on, we did drive with the boot open for a bit, which was not a good idea. So you can see here we've got a nice old Haynes manual, which is for the this era of Marinas. 71 to 75 was the original series of Marinas. The spare wheel lives on the left hand side there. So 58 cubic feet, quite a large space actually, really, for a car like this. When the Triumph 2500S was discontinued in 1977, the Marina estate became the biggest one actually offered by British Leyland. And in 79 they introduced, for the final year of the Marina, 79-80, the 1.7 HL, which was a really nicely trimmed car. If you've ever seen one of those, they are really good. So yeah, we'll make sure we shut the boot properly. Yeah, we're okay. Little tiny wiper on there. For some reason I've always had these early Marina estates referred to as a Super Deluxe. It just says Super on it, but I think they're called Super Deluxes. Nice bright wheel trims on there. Oh, got a problem in here, because we have to move SO out the way and Roger out the way and Eric out the way to see family outing today. Stay there, you lot. And we got some furry dice as well. So we only got lap belts in here, but to be honest, I'm quite grateful for anything, because it wasn't compulsory to actually fit rear belts in a car in this country until the mid-1980s, so let's be grateful we've got anything. Nursery wheel belts with a little clunk clip thing in there, which a lot of you remember from the 1980s as well. Because this is an early Marina, we've got the flat dash in here. The later ones from 75 to 1980 have a different dash, which is in the Series 3 Marina that I drove last year, with the radio points away from the driver, which is weird. So we've just got a new radio fitted in here. That's sort of blending a bit into a sort of modern one with Bluetooth, which looks okay. The original vinyl seats are actually underneath here, but they are a little bit torn in places, so we've got these seat covers in here. When the car was originally purchased, it did come with other seat covers, but they looked like something out of a, I don't know, a Mondeo taxi or something like that. So Alex has put these kind of more appropriate ones in. Got a green carpet in here for some reason. I don't know if it's original or not. I quite like it though. But yeah, no rear armrest. So yeah, the early Marina estate, you didn't really get a specification choice at all. You could get a 1.8 Super Deluxe or Super, and that was really about it. Later ones you could get 1.3 engines as well, and then you know, the ultimate one from sort of 79 to 80, the 1.7 HL. These interior door handles, of course, were on everything. I mean everything. They were used until, I think, at least the 1990s on some of the Leyland DAF vans. They were introduced, I think, in 68 with the Mark II Landcrab. And these door handles as well, they were used on the Land Rover Discovery Series 1 until 1998. And loads of other cars as well. So, yes, door handles and a normal steering wheel, unlike in the Allegro, which is just over here. We've got a normal steering wheel in this one. So we've got choke here. These are the controls for the rear wiper. Heated rear window. We haven't got a hazard light switch in here, I don't think. That, I'm not sure what that is. Bonnet release is a little bit broken, unfortunately. We've got eyeball vents. There's another vent just sort of there. And then there's the stereo. Fan speed is here. The controls for the heater are kind of here. There's the sort of temperature and the direction of the air. Stalks of the older style than British cars, meaning we've got the indicator on the right, horn is on there, and super, we've got a rev counter. Excellent. It's good because the speedo doesn't always work the first time you drive off when it's cold for reasons, I'm not quite sure why. Stereo is in here. Glove box, it's a bit stiff, but it does open. There we go. We'll see if we can get me documents in there later, viewers. Very kind of typical early 70s dash, in this sort of brown plastic with fake stitching on it and fake wood as well, of course. Excellent. 4-speed manual gearbox. I think at this time you couldn't get an automatic Marina Estate. There were some automatic saloons available, of course. I think we've got an ashtray in here, although that doesn't seem to be... Oh, you put it like that. There you go, ashtray. So this wood just reminds me so much of 1970s electronics. It's just amazing to have a car like this that survived this long and in quite original condition as well. Headlining is a little bit broken towards the back, but that's not a problem really, I shouldn't think. Handbrake needs a good pull, and reverse is a pain and a half. Like it just goes like this when you're stopped, but when you're actually got the engine on, it's much more difficult to engage. I don't know why, but there we go. Right, look at mission documents in a bit. We're going to have a look under the bonnet. So this is the single carburettor version of the B series, generating around 83 horsepower. I suppose it'd be quite easy to put twin carbs on here if you really wanted to, but we've still got original setup in this car. Oh, Unipart. There we go, we got the plug hole of despair in here as well. Excellent. There we go, Austin Morris Street, British Leyland. There we are. The early Marinas like this have 3 completely different sort of front ends. The TCs are different front ends from the 1.8, are different front ends from the 1.3. So you can easily tell what it is when it's coming along the road. It's just amazing to see these original spec number plates on it as well, with the raised lettering from I think summer of '73 was when this car was registered up in the northwest England. Brake servo is there, which is great. It's not a remote one, so that makes it much easier to drive than a Morris Minor. Gearbox is better than a Minor as well, although I think it does have synchro first gear, but I think it's a bit worn in this car. The whole gearbox probably needs overhauling, maybe some fresh fluid or something would improve that. But yes, there we go, just an absolutely typical kind of sight from the early 70s. Disappointing. This Marina is absolutely amazing. Actually, it sort of takes me back to an era of watching things like The Professionals and Sweeney, where a lot of these were used as background cars. There's a scene in an episode of Professionals called Heroes that was broadcast in around 1978, where the driver of a beige Marina estate gets attacked on his driveway by men with machine guns. I'm not actually joking, that's what happens. And you see some bullet holes in the side of the Marina. Clearly I didn't like it very much. There's also another scene with the Marina estate where we see Gordon Jackson driving an orange 1.8 estate, so similar to this one, actually being kind of pursued through the countryside with serving the 2 masters. And the handling doesn't look very good in that. In fact, we're coming up to the handling challenge here, which is this sort of which is this bit here. We're going to just go around here and see how it is. It's fine. And we've just heard as if the boot's open. We're going to go and stop in a moment, viewers, and we're going to shut that boot to make sure that we don't actually lose anything out the back. What happens better, an Allegro or Marina? Well, let's find out, viewers. One thing I will say about this car is that the gearbox isn't the best. It's okay. It's derived, I think, from one in Triumph Toledo, but reverse is very, very difficult to engage. For some reason, it is really hard in this car. I don't know if it's just a particular Marina or it's just what these cars are like, but we've had real difficulty with that today. Handling's actually okay, considering how unsophisticated the suspension is with the lever on dampers and trunnions at the front and the leaf spring at the back. It's okay. It's a little bit bouncy over those bumps, but then all the cars are. Indicator, of course, on the left-hand side, so I have to be aware of that. For some reason, they changed them over when the Leaf Series 3 was launched in 1979. Sorry, 1978 it was. It feels fast enough with this sort of 83 horsepower. If you don't rush the gear changes, it's okay. One thing we're trying to work out is whether this car's got a first gear synchro. I think they do, but apparently it's not very good, so maybe this gearbox just needs a little bit of attention. But driving around in this beige Marina estate, feeling like I'm in an episode of The Professionals, is just extraordinary. I am very much enjoying it, actually. It's quite comfortable as well for an old car. You do sort of adopt quite a different style of driving because the suspension is a little bit soft and it's just not very sophisticated, so you can't corner as well as you would do in a modern car. I imagine the 1.8 TC models are more interesting in that respect. But yes, I've quite enjoyed it, viewers. I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't have enjoyed it, having driven a Marina before, but I have enjoyed it very, very much indeed. So viewers, should you consider a Morris Marina as a sensible second-hand classic for your hard-earned budget of between £1,000 and £5,000? Well, this car was within budget. Very nice Marinas are probably in excess of £5,000 now, but when they come on the market, and there's obviously not that many in the country anyway, but when they come on the market, you can still find examples of between £1,000 and £5,000. It depends really what you kind of want. I mean, rust is probably going to be the worst problem of these, and general sort of neglect, because these cars were very, very cheap for a very, very long time, and a certain British television motoring programme did not help the image of the car at all by dropping many pianos on Marinas and Itals, even if they are very rare cars. Considering how compromised the engineering is, really, it was just sort of, you know, bits of what they had. A gearbox from a Toledo and, you know, suspension that's similar to a minor. Styling actually came out, I think, quite well. And, you know, for what they were designed for, which is 1970s family motoring, it's not a bad car. It probably lived a bit longer than expected. They were supposed to replace it in 76, 77. They never did. The Ital lived until 84. I think it's just one of these ones that, for me, is just very nostalgic. I mean, when I was growing up, you used to see things like this around. You just don't anymore, particularly in this wonderful shade of harvest gold. Anyway, thank you ever so much once again for watching. Thank you to Alex from Alex's Assets for letting me have a go in our new car. And we shall see you once again for some more reasonably priced nostalgic motoring.